Do you know if you even have an election tomorrow? And if you do have an election tomorrow, are you planning on showing up? Have you rallied other people to show up? If you're in Kentucky, you have an election tomorrow, a critical election. Pennsylvania, Tucson, Arizona, Texas, Mississippi, all across the country. Critical elections are happening. And you know what I see? And this is why I'm going off on this to start show. We're going to get to Scott Pressler here in a minute. You know what I see? It's just crazy to me. So I sat down for breakfast. The wife and I sat down for breakfast with an old Marine buddy of mine and his wife on Sunday morning. Went to church, we went out, it was a late breakfast, brunch thing. We sit down with these guys, they're from East Texas, right? They're from East Texas. He's a huge Trump guy, right? So we were sitting there, we were talking about the legal troubles in Trump and all these other things. And he's really, really concerned about what they're doing to Trump and the legal battles. And he's just not sure what's going on. And that's all he could talk about, right? I wanted to talk about other things. All he could talk about was Trump and the legal battle and Trump this and Trump that. He's really involved. And I said, oh man, okay. Did you vote in the Texas election yet? And I knew he did in a second. I got the look from him. He kind of gave me that side thing, and he knew I'd caught him, so he knew where I was going with it. And he tried to play it off. Well, no, I mean, I'm not quite yet. I'm still figuring it out. He finally had to cough it up. Neither he or his wife, all Trump this, Trump that, Trump, MAGA, baby, even knew there was a local election, critical local election in his home state. We have got to wake up and shape up on the right. This horrible obsession we have with presidential politics, and we neglect the more important elections that are local and statewide, has got to stop or we will lose it all. Not only can we win these local elections, they're right there for our taking. You see, these are low turnout elections. It's nobody but the vile communist scum who even bother to show up, and we outnumber them by 1 million. So what do? What should you do? You don't have to change the world. One, figure out what they are. Your state has a Secretary of State page that tells you when every single election is. That's one website. You do it on your phone now. When's your local election? Beep, 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 right there on your phone. Figure out where they are and text your friends, neighbors, mom, brother. Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. Local election is tomorrow. Make sure you vote yes on Prop 13. Don't let them ignore you either. Hey, check it in. Did you get that? It's really important you go vote. Harass them if you have. Do you know what the communists do? They text and harass their friends. They start social media groups. Did you go out and vote against Donald Trump today? Ah! Are you involved like that? Let me ask you something. You go to church in Ohio? Are you by chance an Ohio resident? You know that tomorrow abortion has a chance to be enshrined as the law in the Ohio Constitution? Did your pastor mention it this Sunday? In between sermons about turning the other cheek, did he mention that? Come on, we've got to shape up and wake up, all right? Look, you're in Kentucky. You want this guy to remain in charge?
This virus wants to kill as many of us as possible. And it'll mutate, it'll change. We got to be flexible, we got to be proactive, but most importantly, we have to do the right thing. Push out the noise and protect one another. It's critical for our lives. It's critical to keep our kids in school. They wear masks, they'll be in school. They won't, they'll be home quarantined.
Don't you remember when American politicians, Democrat and Republican, used to feel totally comfortable threatening you with things they would take away from you because of a virus? I remember that like it was yesterday. Anyway, don't get me started. We're talking about local elections here. Joining me now, my buddy Scott Pressler, national spokesman, early vote action pack, out there actually putting in the work. Scott, I don't want to distract you from the 2024 presidential election, which is a year away, and the primary and stuff, but there are some fairly important elections happening like tomorrow. Let's start with the governor's races. What ones are they and where?
Thanks, Jesse. So yes, tomorrow, Tuesday, November 7th, we have elections. In Kentucky, you heard it himself, that Andy Beshear, Democrat governor, he is no moderate. He shut down the schools. He shut down the churches. He let out the inmates while punishing law-abiding citizens. So no, we cannot reward him for what he did during the pandemic. We must elect Daniel Cameron running for governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We also have Mississippi. Tate Reeves is the current Republican governor of Mississippi. He is running for re-election. Now, Stacey Abrams, she's been working in Mississippi to try to flip that state blue. We must hold this governorship. And as you know, Jesse, we already had victory earlier this year when we elected Governor-elect Jeff Landry in Louisiana on Saturday, October 14th. Those are the gubernatorial elections.
Scott, before I move on to Pennsylvania, where I know you've been spending a bunch of time, I'm not asking you to do a crystal ball thing. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? I'm really not. All I'm asking is, are you seeing good momentum, good movement on the ground in one, hopefully both of these places, neither of these places? Tell me what you're seeing as the guy on the ground.
Well, look, Jesse, I'm not a baloney guy. I'm not a hopium. I'm not going to tell you what you want me to say or what you want to hear. The fact of the matter is the Democrats are going into Election Day with 400,000 votes. They're voting by mail. They're voting early. This is anyone's game. And I mean that. In any of the elections happening tomorrow, in Virginia, the Democrats aren't where they need to be. In Kentucky, Republicans and Democrats are neck and neck. And in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if our base turns out, we win. This all comes down to who is going to show up until the polls close at 8 p.m. Eastern time zone tomorrow in Pennsylvania. However, I will tell you, I'm here in Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we are seeing unprecedented activity in Allegheny County. This is a 2-to-1 D to R county, and despite that, we are tied in this election. So if you have never been active before, or if you have never volunteered, now is that time. Get everyone out to vote for Joe Rackey for county executive in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania.
Why? What are the stakes? Why should I give a crap? After all the games on tonight, Scott, I'm pretty sure it's Monday. It's Monday. I got Monday Night Football. Scott, I'm busy. Why should I get involved?
Well, I'll tell you, look, I bet you people listening to Jesse Kelly care about election integrity, and they would know that in 2019, county commissioner races and county executive races were flipped from red to blue. And is it possible that because those races were flipped, that in 2020, with all of the shenanigans and the lack of election integrity, that made an impact in who won the presidential election? I would argue so. So this is our opportunity. Let's elect Republican county commissioners. Let's elect Republican county executives, provide for election integrity, and set ourselves up for success to elect a Republican president in 2024.
I love it. All right, give me the skinny on Virginia. What are the stakes? What do I care? Why should I care?
Well, the early voting numbers, mail-in voting and early voting, are not what the Democrats need right now. We are seeing actually a lack of turnout. And that's despite the Democrats, pushing their mail-in voting. That's despite Governor Youngkin having his Secure Your Ballot Virginia, and even my organization, Early Vote Action. So it's anecdotal, but are the Democrats going to turn out tomorrow? That's why I said this is anyone's game. If you live in Virginia, this is our opportunity. We pick up 2 state Senate seats. Governor Glenn Youngkin will have an entirely Republican legislature, which puts us in play to elect a Republican president next year out of the Commonwealth of Virginia.